Welcome to the Slam Diego Show here on Roundtable with your hosts, as always, Hunter and Anthony. And Hunter, the Padres, I could say, probably couldn't get much better record wise. Obviously, we've watched the games. We know we haven't seen everything we want to see. But if you're looking at the facts, the Padres have the second best record in baseball, and that's kind of hard to not be happy with.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we've won 6 consecutive series in a row now, and it's been hard. We've had some really good comeback wins. We've had some dominant shutout wins. We've played some really good baseball this last week, and honestly, there's a lot to be excited about as a Padres fan, and we're excited to break down these games and get into each one.
Yeah, some of these games have excellent performances, come from behind, as Hunter mentioned, which are really fun to watch. But then you have some of these head scratchers where it's like, what are we doing? But luckily, if you look at the latter half of it, and as you mentioned, 6 series wins in a row. I mean, you can't complain about that. Obviously, you want sweeps, but that's not how baseball works. The other team gets paid to play too. But luckily, the past week for the Padres, again, has been good. And they've played some good teams, some not great teams. Obviously, the Rockies, they did take 2 out of 4 against the Dodgers. But really, it's Colorado. It's not that crazy. But starting from a week ago, I was able to go to the Padres Angels game, and they had some fun t shirts. I was very curious on the Padres t shirt game. And I got to tell you, I wish they would let the fans get some because this Mason Miller shirt is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. And I've seen some really cool designs for Mason Miller with like a Reaper on it and stuff, on like Amazon or like Etsy, these random places you can buy T-shirts. But I hadn't seen any of the players wearing it yet. And this one is pretty sweet. Just a really cool shirt. Yeah, you're right. I wish they would sell some cool style shirts like that in the team store just so we could get them there. But
Obviously, I understand the logistics of it. It's kind of
yeah,
harder for the team store because you have to license stuff. Whereas the players, if they print a T-shirt, they print a T-shirt. But another one that was cool, and we were talking about it the other week with kind of the Gavin Sheets versus Jackson Merrill debate. You can see it here. I know it's a little far out, but if you look at it closely, that is what you would say. That's Gavin Sheets with a Holy Sheets caption in kind of a stained glass apparel, and that's Jackson Merrill wearing the t-shirt, which I think is kind of funny that now he has another t-shirt offsetting his Holy Sheets t-shirt, making fun of him. If you remember, Hunter, the other week we were talking about how the Gavin game, where he kind of earned the right, I would say, to get a nicer t-shirt. Kind of looks like they listened to us on that one.
yeah, totally. I mean, Gavin has been quietly one of our better players. He's had a lot of RBIs and clutch scenarios and been one of our better bats recently. So he's definitely earned the right to stop getting that T-shirt of him running into the wall worn. No more making fun of him as he's been, one of our leaders. So this shirt is really cool with like you said, the stained glass, the Holy Sheets, really funny still, but a more appreciative shirt of Gavin Sheets. But I'm honestly still just waiting for Jackson Merrill to mess up one time so Gavin can get him back.
We're all waiting for it. Unfortunately, Jackson Merrill plays a really clean center field, and knock on wood, it stays that way for the Padres' sake. But for a fact when he's going to mess up, we're all going to be all over it, and we're going to be curious what angle Gavin Sheets takes advantage of. But unfortunately for the Padres, what did happen this night in Angel Stadium was rather forgettable, if you
Yeah.
could. Matt Waldron, who is my favorite pitcher because he throws the knuckleball, and he did have some pretty good ones on the night, but unfortunately the Angels were able to get to him early, whereas they faced the ace and Jose Soriano. We talked about it. I mean, Jose Soriano, best pitcher in baseball, and woof. I mean, he didn't even have his best stuff this night, but he still struck out 8 Padres.
Yeah, he was looking untouchable, especially the Padres offense is very streaky, like we talked about. Sometimes they get hot, sometimes they don't find a way to score until the 7th, 8th, or 9th. And today we couldn't find anything. I mean, yes, Soriano is going to win the Cy Young in the AL as it looks like right now, but like you said, his stuff wasn't even ridiculous. Obviously, it was still good stuff, had good movement, good location, but there was too many left over to the middle of the plate that we should have done damage to, and we just didn't. But obviously, we have to tip our cap to Soriano because he's been pitching amazing, right? He's been doing phenomenal. He went 5 2/3 with only 2 hits given up, 4 walks, and 8 strikeouts. So he did give up 6 base runners in less than 6 innings. So we should have been able to do something, and we couldn't. But obviously, their bullpen comes in and kind of just closes it, slams the door. We didn't get a hit the rest of the game, I don't believe, until the 9th off Jordan Romano, but still ended up with 5 more strikeouts later in the game. So ended up with 13 strikeouts in the entire game, only 3 hits. really bad ratio. Didn't look great. And our pitching just didn't hold it down. Breaking it down, Waldron went 3 2/3 on 8 hits, 1 walk, giving up 6 runs. Just sometimes the knuckleball was hanging over the middle with not a lot of movement. Sometimes he just let the fastball get to their bats. It was not the best performance, but it was his first start in the majors that we've seen him this year, so maybe some grace. But then David Morgan comes in for 2/3 of an inning, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, gave up a home run, so not great there. Peralta comes in for an inning and 2/3. Finally, we see a 0, and he goes only 2 hits with 3 Ks. And then Rodriguez and Hart come in to close out the game and end up keeping them at 0. But like you said, I mean, Waldron just didn't have his stuff today, and he was ultimately the reason we lost, unfortunately. But as you can see, we had a donut, so our offense definitely didn't help.
And it's kind of funny how some of these games have gone, right? Where very rarely early on in the season, actually, it's hard to say very rarely because we have the second best record in baseball, but it doesn't feel like the offense complements the pitching a ton. Normally it's the pitching doing really well, and then the offense gets just enough across the board. This was one of those rarities where both the offense and the pitching was just atrocious. And giving 13 hits up to the Angels is pretty surprising. I mean, that's not a lineup other than Mike Trout, who actually looking at it, he didn't even get a hit in this game. Yeah, he walked twice, but Mike Trout didn't even get a hit, and the Angels still get 13 hits across the board. And yes, some of them were pretty nice, and especially like Josh Lowe had a pretty good game, one of his best of the season. Adam Frazier, who's actually been kind of an unsung hero, and of course Neto at the top of the order. But what I was really shocked watching this game was how the Padres kind of gave up late game, because Jose Soriano, in my opinion, should have been pulled an inning earlier, but because the lead was so large, they kind of just let him go a little bit longer, and he still didn't have it. I mean, his command was all over the place. I think his strike to ball ratio was like, I think 4-3. It was not very good. And so it was kind of surprising to see him stay in. But really the crux was the Angels put in a pitcher named Sean Anderson. I don't know if you're familiar with Sean Anderson, but he is not good. And he dominated in this game. And that was shocking to me, especially watching, if you're looking down that Padre lineup, Nick Castellanos struck out 4 times in his 4 at-bats. This was devastating. But again, it's one game, and that's kind of what the Padres have been able to put together this series and this season and this week in particular. We'll get to another one later kind of like this, but then roll over to the Saturday, and you know what? They shine 4-1 in a pretty good game where they rally late because nothing happened for the majority of this game. But it really doesn't matter. You get a win in the end, you get a win.
Totally. And I think something to note here that's a lot different is we had Cronenworth leading off last game, and he went 0 for some reason, we didn't have Laureano in the leadoff position again, I guess because it's a righty-righty matchup. But
Laureano had the day off.
Oh, that's right. But that doesn't matter when Cronenworth is going 0-4 and still hitting 150. So I think Laureano should be starting every day until he actually needs a day off, which he could have. But anyways, we look at our totals. We had 9 hits. We had 5 walks, 10 strikeouts, which is still a lot, but obviously less than 13 from last game. But a lot more base runners, right? 9 hits and 5 walks is a lot better. It's a significant boost, and clearly we scored enough to win this game. But honestly, the big reason we won today was because of our pitching. The pitching, I mean, you can't complain with giving up 1 run in a game, right? It's a very good thing when you can go a full 9 innings and only give up 1 run, and Mason Miller can get another save, because I believe he technically has 10 now, but this was his 7th. So when we go down the bullpen and the pitcher's card, Yerman Marquez had one of his good starts this season, going 5 2/3, only giving up 2 hits and 2 walks with 5 Ks. Morajón comes in and gets the win because we ended up getting the lead when he was pitching. He went an inning and a third with only 1 walk but 2 strikeouts. And then Jason Adam comes in for an inning and did give up a run. This was his worst outing yet. He gave up 3 hits, just couldn't find anywhere besides the middle. But luckily, Mason Miller comes in after that, like I just said, records his 7th save, and we get out of the game 4-1 because our pitching really looked good.
And the rallying in the top of the 9th, because even though they had the lead, but to get those extra insurance runs, especially against a guy named Nick Sandlin, who's been barely on a major league roster. I mean, the Angels really tried to squeeze more out of him, trying to stretch him to go 2 full innings. He just couldn't do it. But yeah, great pitching by the Padres. I mean, and then once you get to Mason Miller, I mean, in the bottom of the ninth, and credit to the Angels because they did get a hit and a walk against Mason Miller, which is not something you really see. But I think it was one of the most ridiculous things watching this was that the catcher for the Angels, Lokano Hoppy, in his at bat against Mason Miller, just basically gave up. I think there were 2 pitches where he could have challenged it that might have been overturned. He just didn't even try. He just sat there, took him, and then walked back to the dugout, striking out. I mean, it was when you're playing Mason Miller, you got to at least try. I mean, we get it. He's the best pitcher in baseball. Like we know, but you got to, if you're facing him, you got to at least try. But no, it's just a great rally by the Padres. And you know what I was thinking? I was thinking this after, because they win this game, they play well, they pitch well, they win in Padres fashion compared to the game before. Do you think that the Padres on Friday spent the day at Disneyland? Because my idea was that I think they spent too much time at Disneyland, maybe had a few too many churros, and then just weren't ready to go. And then they realized, okay, we can't do this. Let's lock in, and this is what we got.
That could be the possibility, or it's just the fact that Jose Soriano is, going to win the Cy Young and is the best pitcher in baseball. One of the two, or both, honestly. Could have been both. So
could have been both. But we move on to the next game, which I knew this was going to be a good game, and I was very upset that the Angels decided to move Reed Detmers' start to the Monday and sub in Walbert Urania, who I believe was making one of his first start of the season. And he was dominant for the Angels, but this was a classic pitcher's duel. And who's the best team in baseball in pitcher's duels? Obviously, I don't have the number in front of me, but at the top of my head, it's the San Diego Padres.
Yeah. I mean, they seem to, every close game can pull ahead and pull out the win. And it's what we've been doing all season. It's really good because Michael King, he's been really good this season. He has a 2.28 ERA on the season, and today was just another one of those good starts. He went 5 innings, only giving up 1 hit, 4 walks, which is unusual. It's a lot of walks for him, but ended up having 6 strikeouts. So really good outing from him. And to match that, Urania went 6 innings, only giving up 4 hits and 8 strikeouts. But he did end up giving up 2 runs, 1 in the 4th, I believe, and 1 in the 7th. So it was a pretty good start from him, especially like you said, considering it was his first or one of his first starts up in the bigs. Pretty impressive. He did look like he was definitely learning from Soriano as he had some similar stuff, but obviously it was working. I mean, the 8 strikeouts, they're up there. The Padres have been striking out a lot but ultimately the only reasons we even scored was because, like I said, Xander Bogaerts has been able to quietly be one of the biggest contributors, and was because of those walks. So Tatis gets on and ends up getting the second, and then Xander Bogaerts is able to single to bring him around. That's how we score in the 4th. And then in the 7th, it's because Bryce Johnson comes up clutch with a 2-out single, who, mind you, Bryce Johnson, is not an everyday starter and isn't typically the best hitter, but he went 2 for 3. So he had a pretty good day proving himself that he can be reliable when you need him to.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but are we still on the every game Bryce Johnson starts, we win streak?
I believe we're still 4-0 when Bryce Johnson starts.
Because he doesn't start very often, but I remember, we had that going for a while. Because obviously he subs in certain games, and that doesn't count. But when he makes a start, obviously going 2 for 3, that's a great contribution. It's unfortunate he's not going to start every day. But, I mean, this, again, it's 5 hits to 2 hits. It's a pitcher's performance. You tip your cap to Urania, who is able to pitch well, but not well enough. And, of course, Michael King doing what he does. The bullpen locks it down. And then you go to the bottom of the 9th. How many times have we talked about, because obviously we talk about every game, behind the scenes, but once they get to the 9th inning, is there any concern ever when the Padres make it to the 9th with a lead?
Here's what I do. So I'm at work, right? I work at Trader Joe's. I'm not allowed to be on my phone, but sometimes there's a game on and I'm working late and I want to watch. I'll be watching the game, especially if it's close. When I'm not supposed to, I'll be like hiding it. But then once we get to the 9th inning with the lead, I can just turn it off and put it in my pocket because I know we win. I know Mason Miller's coming in and not giving up a run, and we win the game. So, like, that's how confident I am in our pitcher. Like, I've never been that confident in our closer or reliever before. Obviously, with Robert Suarez, he did get, a lots of saves in multiple seasons, but there was nervousness. There was anxiety when he was pitching. He would always have you on the tip of your seat, where Mason Miller doesn't do that. Mason Miller just comes in, dominates, gets out of it. Like, even when we gave up a hit and a walk to the Angels in game 2 on Saturday, I still wasn't worried about it. I was still like, he's still the best pitcher. He's still probably going to strike out the next 2. We win. Let's go home. Like, there is 100% confidence and faith in Mason Miller when he gets put in the game. It's ridiculous.
And just looking at this series as a whole, so I thought this was going to be a good litmus test for the Padres because the Angels just came out of New York. Pretty much, they should have won every game, but they only took 2. And so they were a hot team coming into it. And obviously, we know the Padres have had, they went into this with an 8-game win streak. Then they get slapped in the face, lose 8-0.
Yeah.
But the fact that they were able to rally and win the next 2 in pretty relatively close games, pretty much games that went down to the wire, it just shows the ability of this team to take whatever situation they're in and be able to turn it in their favor, even if, like I mentioned, they get punched in the mouth. I love the Mike Tyson quote, is that your strategy goes kaput once you get punched in the mouth. Like, you have to figure out how to respond. And the Padres are excelling at that this season. And that's why it was really cool to see that they were able to win this series 2-1, win the third game 2-1, and then, of course, go to a very fun place to play baseball in Colorado. They have an off day, but then they start the series with this one, which, again, you're in Colorado, like, score some runs, but you can't complain about a 1-0 win. It's a win.
Yeah, I'll never complain about a win because ultimately the better team is supposed to win, and that's what happened today. Obviously, it's not the exact win I was expecting, right? I was expecting Tatis to hit his first home run of the season, which he still hasn't done yet. And I was expecting to win probably like 10-4, as when they were in Petco, we did a really good job and took care of business sweeping them. But honestly, this was an interesting strategy from the Rockies this game, as they started Herget, and he only went 1 inning. So what the strategy they were doing, which honestly I don't necessarily hate. They start someone so that way their starter can still go 6 innings, but can pitch later into the game. Because when you think about it, I would rather have Michael King pitch in the 7th and 8th inning than I would like Kyle Hart, right? I would rather have one of my starters because I trust them more. So interesting strategy, but their pitching did a pretty good job, right? Herget went his 1 inning and struck out the side to start the game, so that set the tone. And then Dollander came in and went 6 innings, only giving up 3 hits and 1 run with 9 strikeouts. Then Mejia came in, had a strikeout in an inning, and then Bernardino came in and had 2 strikeouts in his inning. So Padres struck out a lot. We had 15 strikeouts in the game. And obviously our offense is the only reason we won because we scored that 1. But ultimately, when you look at it, our pitching is the reason we won this game. Randy Vasquez continuing to be our ace, who's 2-0, should be 4-0. He went 7 innings, only giving up 3 hits, no walks, with 5 strikeouts, no runs. Like, 7 shutout innings, I will never complain about. That is beautiful baseball. Randy Vasquez has been the best pitcher on the Padres besides Mason Miller all season. Jason Adam comes in, does his thing, gets 1 strikeout, shutdown inning, and Morejon comes in to close it, which was really interesting. I was not expecting Morejon to come in and, shut down the game to get a save, because if Mason Miller was put in this position, he would now have 11. But I looked into it. It was just an off day, just time to give Mason Miller his arm to rest, as they did have a rest day in between, but he pitched back-to-back games against the Angels. So just giving him an off day, especially because the Rockies in the bottom of the 9th had back-to-back lefties coming up, and Morejon's a lefty, so better hand-to-hitting matchup. But weird to not see Mason Miller in the save opportunity. I feel like that's the first opportunity this year where we've had a chance to get a save, and it hasn't been Miller. So interesting there, but it seemed to work, so.
It's almost a little disrespectful to the Rockies that the Padres are saying, we know that you are not of the caliber that we need Mason Miller. And obviously that's not what happened. Hunter said it well. He pitched back-to-back days and they want to give him some rest. But it's just funny, a little disrespect there. I'm sure, like, even if we were playing the Marlins, obviously he would probably play all the games. But it would be really funny to see if we played not to put it lightly, but an inferior team like the Miami Marlins or some other team in the league that's just terrible, and you only use your other relievers just because you know you can save Mason Miller because you're going to win
Yeah,
anyway. It's kind of funny.
it
But
is pretty.
I agree with you in the idea that you want your starter to go later in the game because those are, in my opinion, when you get to like the sixth, I'd say the fifth through the eighth inning, those are kind of like those crucial swing innings
Yeah,
where if you can take command of that, you're probably going to win the game. Obviously, ninth inning heroics are fun, but that's normally what happens. And Jimmy Herget is a fun pitcher to watch. I mean, he throws the baseball like a frisbee, and
yeah,
he's
it's
got a
funny.
frisbee slider. And obviously, it's not fun to watch him strike out the side when he's
Yeah,
facing the Padres, but that just shows that he's able to get the job done. Interesting to see a Rockies pitcher do well. That is
yeah,
not, those are two words that don't go together. The Colorado Rockies and pitchers succeeding. Those are
yeah.
not
I mean,
two.
no, you're right. Like the Rockies have not done the worst to start the season. They're exceeding expectations currently, but it's not because they're pitching. Their offense has actually been pretty amazing. They have some really good hitters on their team this year. Some people that have been figuring it out. But like you said, yeah, their pitching hasn't been amazing. So to see them only give up one run in a game, and mind you, that one run was a bases loaded walk. It wasn't an RBI hit. We had a single and then 3 walks in a row that ended up walking in a run. And he ended up getting out of it after that. So still a really good job from the Rockies pitching, but I mean, if I'm a Rockies fan, I'm frustrated at our hitting because this is like the one game we decide not to show up when we only need to score 2 runs to win. So
And it's Randy Vasquez, right? This is what good teams do. When your ace goes down, you need someone in the rotation to step up. And that's been Randy Vasquez to start the season. Obviously, Michael King's been good, but the back half of the rotation, Herman Marquez hasn't been consistent, as has, you could say, Walker Buehler, who in his last start
yeah,
wasn't great. But it's fun to see that we have a guy who is able to get the job done. And obviously, I don't think they're going to move his spot in the rotation with Randy Vasquez, move it up. But I think come playoff time, if it were to start where we are right now, Randy Vasquez is your day one starter.
for sure. And I think now that Pavetta has gone down, technically his spot has moved up. So he is technically our day 2 starter right now, which makes sense because I still do trust Michael King just as much. Obviously, Randy's had a better season so far. But, I mean, I honestly expected Randy to be like our 3rd, maybe 4th pitcher on the team, and he's been our best. So it's really cool to see him step up when we really need him to. And honestly, pitching has been a little bit of an issue for us. We've given up a lot of runs to multiple teams, as we'll see the next 2 games. But it was really good to see Randy step up. Now we step into this next game as we break this down. We lost 8-3 to the Rockies. This was a rough start from Walker Buehler. He has not been the most consistent. He has a 5.7 ERA on the season. Now we know he has the ability because he's had some decent starts, but just 2 2/3 innings, so not getting us pretty much anywhere, kind of straining us, giving up 8 hits and 3 walks and 4 runs. He was just kind of all over the place, like not great to see. And there was a lot scored in the second. They started off with a couple singles and a walk, and then another single, and that led to scoring 4 in the first. 4 in the second, which is a bummer because we scored in the top of the first, right? We go out with a nice RBI single from Merrill to start the game in the top of the first, so we're winning, and then Buehler just couldn't seem to figure it out. So ultimately, this was a pretty rough start, and then the rest of the bullpen didn't exactly do too well. Hart gave up a run in 2 innings. Morgan came in and gave up 2 runs in an inning in the third, and then Peralta ended up giving up a run in 1.2 innings. So every single pitcher that pitched for the Padres today ended up giving up a run, which is not ideal. But if you look at it, our offense only scoring 3 runs, it's usually because we have too many holes in the lineup. Laureano and Tatis both going 0 for 4 with 2 Ks is just really hard. It's really hard to get your offense going when, your supposed best hitter in Laureano, who was to start the season, is 0 for 4 again. And then Tatis, your superstar, like he's supposed to be our superstar, just can't figure it out and is 0 for 4. Luckily, some of the back half of our lineup picked it up, and that's the only reason we did score 3 runs. But rough offensive day and rough pitching day.
And this is a frustrating one because the pitcher who had the quality start and won for Colorado, Sugano, who, again, we got the 1 run across in the top of the first, but then unable for the rest. he was a free agent in the offseason, and he was not a very expensive pickup. That's why Colorado got him, because he was a budget beast. But it's just frustrating to see. And obviously, we love AJ Preller. He does a good job. But there's some of these head scratchers in the offseason, particularly with some of these offseason potential acquisitions. Like both of these players, Sugano and Bueller, were offseason potential acquisitions. And Sugano's had a great start to the season, and he pitches in Colorado. So that 3.42 ERA, if you want to equate it to any other pitcher, it's probably more like a 2.5, to be honest, just because of the Colorado difference. And another guy, even though we haven't talked about the White Sox much, so Murataka Murakami, the guy we were talking about all offseason, he can't stop hitting homers. And this Padres team does not have that much power, which again, that's okay. You play small ball, you get the job done. And later in the series, actually, they do have some power. But it's just frustrating to see some of these guys that we thought we could have gotten on the Padres, or rather we should have gotten, really succeed elsewhere. And obviously you want to see all players succeed, but you just know they could have been doing that for the Padres.
Yeah. I think what's crazy, though, like you said, we have a lot of things not going our way right now. I mean, our leadoff hitter's hitting under 250. Tatis has yet to hit a home run. Manny's hitting 180. Pavetta's out, and yet we're still first place in the NL West and second best record in baseball. So I think that says a lot of the fight this team has. I mean, we have had some crazy wins, and there's more that we'll break down, but this team has dog in them. Like, we want to win. Clearly, they're going for it all this year, which I love to see, because even when our team is hurt, even when our team is not performing at their best, like, we're still winning baseball games. So obviously it doesn't show in this game. Like we said, it was a rough one, but moving into our next game, this was, in my opinion, the game of the week. This was my favorite to watch, nail biter. Very frustrating to watch the first half of the game, but second half definitely made up for it. Man, the first inning was definitely a rough one, as who was starting today? I believe it was Waldron again.
He was back on the bump.
Yeah, his stat line is, I'm looking at it, it's rough. It's 5 innings, 8 hits, 3 walks, only 3 strikeouts, and he gave up 6 earned runs. So brutal. But to start the game, Mickey Moniak leads off. Actually, no, he's not lead off. He's hitting third or second. He hit a home run. Yeah, he hit a home run in the first, which is great. But then we answer right back. Miguel Andujar doubles on a fly ball to left. So he scores Manny and Xander, which is huge to score 2 there. Show them that we're still in this game and now we're winning. And then the bottom of the second just got away from us. Julian has an RBI single that Xander Bogaerts, it kind of hits off him, and McCarthy ends up scoring. Then TJ Rumfield doubles, and he scores 2 more. And then Troy Johnson comes in and drives in another on a single. So now we're losing 5-2, which is a bummer. Both go scoreless in the third. Then the fourth comes up. Ramon ends up hitting a triple, which scores a run. I believe Cronenworth scored there. So now we're only down 2. But then we just can't stop giving up runs, because then the fourth comes up and Freeman sacrificed bunts. They score, so now we're down 3 again. Then Xander Bogaerts finally hits a solo shot. Now we're only down 2 again. But then you come right back to the 6th, and what do? Mickey Moniak hits another home run, and now they're winning 7-4. So it's like we're showing that we're in this game by we're scoring, every couple innings. But our pitching just could not shut it down, as pretty much everyone that pitched today gave up a run besides Mason Miller, because Morejon came in after Waldron's bad start. He went an inning, gave up a run, and then Marinaccio went for 2 innings, and he ended up giving up a run as well. So really bad pitching performance, all from besides Mason Miller, obviously. But dude, our offense was in this game, slower in the beginning, but if you look at what we did in the 8th and the 9th, it's the whole reason we won.
And it was fun to watch, right? I mean, it was crazy to see how, again, it's just funny to look back on it, because I knew at the beginning of this game, with the Padres scoring, the Rockies scoring, this is a day game too in Colorado. So runs are going to be scored, but this was going to be fun. Padres, they fight back. I mean, this is one where you thought it got out of hand, but then in the top of the 9th, they get some runs across. And what's super fun about it is how in that 9th inning, Xander Bogaerts comes up clutch. Miguel Andujar, who, again, should be playing way more than he does. I don't know why Miguel
Agreed.
Andujar is out of the lineup. I mean, he goes, what's it, 2 for 5 in this game with 3 RBIs. I mean,
Huge.
that's huge.
He's hitting 316. Like, he should be in the lineup.
Right? And then Gavin Sheets, holy Sheets, 3-run homer. I mean, to put them on top. I mean, what's it? Who I forget who says it, but there's a famous baseball player out there that says the 3-run homer is the best play in baseball. Go down by 1, then take the lead by 2. Turn it over to Mason Miller in the bottom of the half. I mean, this game is just get your popcorn ready every time they play, really. Because you don't know what you're gonna get, right? You don't know if you're going to get a 1-0 pitching victory to start the series, or you're going to get a 10-8 domination, come from behind resurgence. I mean, this game had it all. And even though Mickey Moniak, again, hits 2 homers and gets 4 hits, the Padres are still able to outdo it as a team. And that's what's so fun to watch.
No, totally. And it was interesting. In the top of the 9th, when we're down 3, they just need 3 outs to win the ball game. They put in Vodnik, who – had not been great. He has not had the best start to the year. I mean, he has a 7.5 ERA after this game, but before that, it was still in the 5s. And he only had 8 strikeouts in 11 innings with only 3 saves. So clearly, interesting person to put in. But this inning all started based off momentum. So Merrill walks to start the inning, and then Manny Machado singles. So now you got first and second. Then Xander Bogaerts comes up and delivers a ground ball to center. So that scores Jackson Merrill, and Manny goes to second. So now first and second again, but we're only down 2. Then Andujar comes up, RBI single. So Manny scores, Xander to third. So now we're first and third down 1 with no outs yet. Then Bryce Runner gets pinch ran for Miguel Andujar, but that doesn't even matter because, like you said, then Gavin Sheets comes up and hits an absolute bomb down the right field line to take the lead 10-8. And then unfortunately after that, we didn't have any more fight, and we had 2 strikeouts and a pop-out. So a little bit of a bummer that the momentum couldn't continue to carry, but all that matters was we won, and then Mason Miller comes in and obviously does his thing. He didn't have a single strikeout, which I'm pretty sure that's the first time this season Mason Miller has pitched an inning and not had a strikeout. But he gets a ground out, then he does give up a single, but then luckily our defense is so good, he gets a double play, and the single doesn't even matter. He gets his 9th save of the season. So ultimately, like I said, the pitching was not good. Hitting was phenomenal. We were showing fight in the beginning of the game. Obviously, we didn't let it get to us when we were down 3 in the 9th. We scored 5. Gavin Sheets, props to him. And then Mason Miller, like always, comes in and closes out the game. We knew we were going to win the second we took the lead in the 9th. So ultimately, really good comeback game. Frustrating to see the pitching, but we pulled out a win. And like we said earlier, a win is a win, and that's all that matters.
Doesn't matter if it's 1-0 or 10-8. But I will give the Rockies some grace for Victor Vodnik. Even though he hasn't had a great start to the season, he is their closer, has been for the last couple of years, and he's nasty. He can throw up to 100 and pair it with a really nasty splitter, if my memory serves me right. He has a couple really good pitches he can use, and it's good to see that the Padres got to him in this one. Obviously, you get 5 across off him, and then they make the pitching change, and then Bernardino shuts it down with the bottom half of the lineup. But this is a great game to watch. And again, Padres are winning series. That's what's fun to see here. Even though they have these terrible games, whether it's to start the series in the middle of the series or whenever it is, they're winning series. And what did you mention? 6 series in a row?
Yes.
And the only team better than that's the Braves, who have yet to lose a series to start the season, which is incredible. Yeah. But to post the second best record in baseball, I mean, this is crazy stuff. But what's fun, again, the Padres did this, is that the Padres have had some time off to start the season, which is kind of nice because then they can kind of, ease into the season more. With this week, we mentioned they had 2 off days. They didn't play on Monday. They didn't play on Friday. Yeah, because they're down in Mexico City. And as we're talking about this, they're actually getting ready to play. But they play the Diamondbacks. And what's fun about the Mexico City series, is that the ball carries very well.
Yeah, it does. But as you see, I mean, another comeback win. We don't score a lot until the 7th inning, just looking at that right there. But again, we got the win, and pitching, honestly, wasn't the worst, but obviously wasn't the best. Yerman Marquez went, and he did end up getting the win, which was huge, but he did give up 4 runs in 6 innings, only had 2 strikeouts. And then our bullpen looked phenomenal, which was amazing to see. So ultimately a good team performance from the pitching standpoint. And Yerman Marquez, we're not going to ask a ton from him, right? So 2 to 3 innings in 5, 6 innings, 2 to 3 runs given up in 5 to 6 innings. I'm not going to complain about. 4 is quite a bit because it causes our offense to have to put up at least 5. But honestly, not the worst start from Marquez. He didn't look too bad, just a couple of pitches that got away from him. But our offense really found it in the 7th inning. As we go to see, I mean, we scored 4, so that was huge because we were down, I believe, already 4-1. So here in the 4th inning, it starts all with a pitching change because Zach Gallen was all done. Zach Gallen only went 3 innings, which was interesting to see. I don't know if it was a pitch count thing or if just his arm wasn't feeling the best today, but he went 3 innings with 3 strikeouts and didn't give up a single run, only gave up 1 hit. So I don't understand pulling him early. But when we scored in the 7th, it was off of, let's see, who pitched in the 7th?
It's Brandon Pfaadt, I think.
Pfaadt, and then, Clark came in after he Pfaadt gave up the 4 runs. But it all starts again with a Merrill walk, just like the comeback on Thursday. Merrill walks, Manny singles, so now we got first and second again. Xander Bogaerts walks, so now we have bases loaded. And this is when Taylor Clark replaces Pfaadt. Gavin Sheets ends up getting an RBI single to score 2. So now it's 4-3 Diamondbacks. Ty France, fielder's choice, no run score, so still down 1, but they got an out. Then we get a sac fly from Freddie Fermin to tie the game. Then Jake Cronenworth gets hit by pitch to send him to first, Sheets to third, and tie to second. So now it's bases loaded again, 1 out. Ramon gets a sac fly to make it 5 for us. Then they intentionally walked Fernando Tatis Jr., which is interesting, but it ended up working out for them as Merrill grounds out and they get their 3rd out, but not before we got the lead. So really important inning there as we took the lead. And then obviously in the 9th, we did score 1. And I believe that was based off of another Ty France solo shot because that's how we scored the 5th and in the 9th. So Ty France, big day from him. Really cool to see him hit 2 home runs and be a key piece in our lineup. But
I mean, and what's interesting with the pitching for the Diamondbacks, excuse me, is that looking at how they did it, this seems like it was planned because both Gallen and Brandon Pfaadt are 2 of their top starters. I think Gallen's their top, and then Pfaadt is their 2nd or 3rd in the rotation. So this is probably something they plan to do, and why they did it, I don't know, and have to look more into that on the Diamondback side. But pitching or not, and that's the thing you have to keep in mind in the Mexico City series. It's kind of like Colorado where the ball is going to travel. And so, unfortunately for Yerman Marquez in the bottom of the 2nd, again, it does get away from him a little bit. He gives up a 2-run homer and a 2-run double. But this is going to be a fun series. They play more today. There's runs going to be scored. And you see it on the opposite. You mentioned, with the Padres, they were able to get the 4 across. And then another insurance run by Ty France on the top of the 9th. And then Mason Miller. I mean, what can't he do, right? We talk about him every time. And it's funny because you mentioned in Colorado, it was his first time going without striking out. He did it again today, or not today, but rather in this game, that he didn't get a strikeout, but he still got a save. So at the very least, it's kind of fun to see Mason Miller be able to adjust and pitch to contact or pitch for strikeouts. I mean, yes, a save is a save, but if we're all being honest, we want him to make some batters look silly. And I think when they're getting swings across, that's not as silly as we would prefer, but it doesn't matter. We know he's going to get the job done no matter what. And Hunter, are you ready for a new series we're going to be doing?
I am. I'm ready for this.
This is going to be the Mason Miller Minute. We're going to bring it to you every week because Mason Miller, the best pitcher in baseball, has some new stats every week we have never seen. I'll present one. Hunter will present one, and that'll be that. Starting with Mason Miller, 34 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings. Never been done by the San Diego Padres. Fear the Reaper. I don't know what else to say. I mean, we've talked about it time and time again where the Padres have an elite history of closers, and yet he's done something never been done before. I don't know what else to say. And then next up, Hunter, take it away.
Yeah, so Mason Miller currently has a negative .76 FIP on the season, meaning theoretically he would be better without defenders behind him, which when you first think about that, it doesn't really make sense because it's like obviously he pitches to contact sometimes. But essentially what this means is that FIP only tracks your strikeouts and the home runs you give up and that sort of thing. So technically from this stat, Mason Miller is so good in the strikeout category that even after 2 innings of not striking out anyone, he still has a negative .76 FIP. He's that good. His strikeout rates and his low walk rates and low hit rates are so good that is how dominant he is. And it's just incredible. We talk about him every time we film this. He's the best pitcher in baseball.
It's crazy to think that he would be better just by himself. That's the kind of thing you would see in MLB The Show when you're facing like a boss battle with a pitcher on the mound. But anyways, that is our Mason Miller Minute, and we're going to bring it to you every week. And that also does conclude the episode of 32nd episode of the Slam Diego Show. Even though there's only been a couple out on YouTube and platforms and whatnot, which thank you for tuning in. And if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. But that'll wrap this one up. The Padres, I can't believe it that they are the second best record in baseball, because we talk about how many things they don't do well. And yet at the end of the day, that's what we started with. We're going to end with it too. They are still the second best record in baseball. That's hard to fathom.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to comprehend because this team also, if you remember, didn't have a great start to the season. We started the season 3-5, I believe. We lost the series to the Red Sox, which they've been really bad to start the season. So honestly, we've turned things around really well. And even with all the injuries, with Musgrove down, with Canning still hurt, and with Pivetta going down, our pitching has found a way to keep us in games, and our hitting has found a way to pull us back late in the game and win. So the second best record in baseball, normally you celebrate being the best, and second best is still good, but the fact that we're the second best and winning the NL West after the things we're going through, and our hitters, like we said, Machado hitting 180, so on and so forth, is really impressive. I'm really proud of this Padres team, and they've been so fun and so exciting to watch. I cannot wait for the rest of the season.
And they got one more against the Diamondbacks here in Mexico City, and then they come home to play a big series against the Cubbies. We'll bring it all to you next week with the next episode of the Slam Diego Show, but that'll do it for this week's episode. Thank you for listening, and as always, take care.